Mother Funny Time with Andie and Angie.
2 cousins, 8 kids, 1 grandkid, 2 states.
And a whole lot of fun. Woo! Welcome back, Mother Funny Tribe. It's Angie and Andie, and it's summertime.
That was amazing.
Thank you. You're so encouraging. Today's episode, we're going to talk about summertime movies, blockbusters, and TV shows because our kids are watching a lot of TVs and movies. And I don't know about you, but when my kids were little, we always did those dollar, like Wednesday movies. Did you do those?
They're our favorite. We love those type of movies. The issue is if you have your kids enrolled in those church camps like I do every year, this year we've really packed in those church camps. Those are from 9 to 12, and that's when the movie is because usually it's like an early movie at like 9 o'clock or 9:30. But on those weeks that we don't have camps, for sure, we're there. And now theaters, like you can reserve your spot. Like remember back in the day, you'd have to get there early and then you're like looking for a spot. There's like the camps, like all the YMCA camps, they're also there. But yeah, now you can reserve your seat.
So for dollar movie time, they let you reserve your seat?
Yeah. So you don't have to get there super early. Well, now it's $2.
Inflation. Like the flip-flops. But not the Costco hot dog. That will always be $1.50. Thank you, Mr. Costco.
It's like really $2. $2 movie people. That was fun. It used to be $1.
But now they have like, you can also get like cheap popcorn, cheap drinks. Like I remember when our kids were little, they do like the $2 ices, the $2 popcorns, whatever. It was like the cheapest. We would call it hot dog movie day. Hot dog movie because like hot dogs were $1. And it was like fun for $2. We get hot dogs or popcorn and a movie for like $2 each is the best.
Back in San Diego when we went and it was $1, I was with like, there's a group of us neighbors that went and I forget why, but my neighbor's like, hey, I got you. And she paid for me and Riley and Brooklyn to go see a movie with her. Like she was like, just paid for us. And I was like, hey, once we're in there, I'll pay you. And she's like, no, really, it was $3. Like, you don't have to pay me back the $3. It was
Why are you
funny.
flexing?
Because it was like, oh, yeah, I'll just give you, the payback. And she was like, no, I got this. I got that $3.
You take care of dinner next time we're all out.
Right. At the fancy restaurant.
The fancy restaurant.
Yes.
Yeah, so there's a lot of movies out. And I know one, Angie has not yet seen it, but something that has touched many moms and children. And I would say the moms even more than the children. I think the adults are getting shook over this movie, and it's Inside Out 2.
I just want to say Riley has seen Inside Out 2. The girl's name is Riley. So that just is so perfect and so special. And this was the very first time Riley saw a movie at the movie theater with a friend and no adults. Like, Riley went to the movies with her friend. Like, the friend's mom dropped her off. And then they bought the tickets, and then they even bought their popcorn and the drinks. And they did it all. Those 2 girls did it all. And then the friend's mom picked him up. And that was a big step. I mean, right? Like, teenager girls going to the movies. She did love it. She really liked it.
And it's perfect because it's about Riley hitting puberty and being a teenager. She turns 13 in the movie, so... I mean, I know your Riley's a little older, but yeah, it's about Riley now going from being a kid to a teenager.
And the first movie was about Riley moving, and that was around the time that we had moved to Texas. I mean, I don't know if Disney's, where's it, Pixar? Who's watching us? Somebody's watching my Riley and making a movie off of it and making millions and millions of dollars. But Andie, why was it so touching? Because you guys, Andie is not a crier. She's not a crier. And I have heard, Andie, that you cried. You cried in the movie.
I did cry.
Don't give away any secrets.
I'm going to try not to. It's hard. I'm going to say one that I do tend to cry during really good movies. That's probably about when I cry. But, okay, recap Inside Out 1, we learned. Because, again, I know I'm cutting my sentences off here, but... we learned that Pixar actually hired like doctors to explain how the mind works. And that's how they come up with the stories. So these stories are like the way our mind and how we grow and how joy and sadness and all these feelings and emotions are needed, how they work, and then they're explained in a way that a child can understand it. So we learn in Inside Out 1 that joy and sadness have to go together, that it's okay to have joy and sadness together, for your memories to be together, and that we need sadness. Because remember, she just wanted joy, 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 and then she would push sadness away, and then sadness came back and realized that sadness is a superpower, and it's the way we're created to have sadness. This one...
Wait, it's why we're created, or it's just part of being created?
It's not why we're created. Is that what I said?
I'm not sure, but it kind of sounded like that. And
I was very excited about what I was saying. It's how we were created with these things, to have these emotions. And then in the second one, anxiety is introduced. Anxiety, and the puberty alarm goes off, which is a funny scene in itself. And all of a sudden we have new emotions. Now, instead of just joy, sadness, anger, and fear, you now have anxiety and envy, embarrassment, and boredom. And it's just brilliant. It's brilliant. And I don't want to say what it is because I'll give it away, but there's a point, like learning about anxiety and watching anxiety go through Riley's brain, and it's beautiful. And I think most adults that I've talked to, we're all like, just, there's certain points in that movie where we're like looking at this child going through anxiety. We're looking through, like, you get to see, I don't want to give too much away, but a panic attack. You get to see a panic attack, and it's fantastic.
Okay, when you're watching it, like, are you crying throughout the movie, or is it like at the end that you're crying?
Yeah, not throughout, even though I have to say, like, the second time I saw it the first time with my kids weren't with me, my adult children. I saw it with like Chris, and I don't remember where I saw it. Anyway, the second time I saw it,
did you see it by yourself? You saw it all by yourself.
No,
you were sitting there crying.
I would have seen it by myself. I for sure saw it with Chris, but I don't remember if we saw it with anyone else. Anyway, the second time I had a friend and her daughter, and then both of my girls came, and we watched it together. And Daisy and I could have tons of conversations about this, but it was just so good. And I cry at very certain parts, but the second time I saw it, as soon as that music starts to play, like, you know, that the music from Inside Out, the doo doo doo, at the beginning, I felt myself starting to choke up just because I knew the roller coaster that would be. And then when it came to those scenes, which are near the end, well, there's a couple lines. I wish everybody had seen it so I could say these lines, but there's a couple of lines that will just rock you. And I think especially adults. It's
okay. Brilliant. Mufasa dying in The Lion King. These lines over here. Like, where's the sadness part? Like, when you're crying, like,
where sad, well,
like, give us a range, because like The Lion King, just so sad.
If you could pair Inside Out and put it inside of Simba's brain when Mufasa dies and see how that works, that would probably destroy people. That would be the sadness of all. But they're different sadness. Like, Mufasa's tragedy, right? This is like a sentimental, it's kind of sappy. It's kind of like you understand, and you're getting to have like all this compassion and understanding, and you're watching this little girl go through these emotions. And as a full grown woman, you're like, I understand what that was like back then, and I understand what it's like now. And even getting to see the way these emotions play out in adults' brains, like how they show how as you grow, these emotions like change. For example, I'm only giving away the first one. In the first one, we know that joy runs Riley's brain, right? You see joy. But when you see the mom, sadness is the head person in the mom's brain. And they're all very like equal and together and balanced, but sadness is the one who's the main character. And in the dad's brain, it's anger. Anger's the main guy. So it's just really interesting. Anyway, so it's a different, there's one that's like sad, crying, you can turn away. The other is, oh my goodness, this hits the feels in a different way. Now, Disney is known for their tragedies. They're always killing off the parents, and it's heartbreaking.
I don't know why. It's so awful. Like, can people
it's horrible.
Just live? Can we have the parents live? I mean, even in like Frozen, that they killed off the mom and the dad in the midst of this like super sad situation where like the sisters are isolated and the girl has the power. I mean, when you actually really think of Frozen 1, like that is a deep, dark, little disturbing storyline.
Yes.
Like you're just getting hit constantly, and then both parents die. We're like, wow, they couldn't
and
even
she's
have
alone.
And I don't even think there's grandparents in Frozen 1.
No, right? No, that's so true.
So there's no adult figure. Like they're all gone. Like everybody's dead in Frozen 1, except for like these sisters that are isolated. They can't even see each other through a door. Like can't even open the door. Like that's harsh. But
that's loneliness.
That
like
amazing song
Anna
came
should
out
have
of
grown up to be like a psychopath from all the damage that was done from losing her parents and then completely shut out of the world. But she was resilient.
Elsa created a snow monster. And a snow castle. And Olaf.
She did, but the girls thrived. I guess the main lesson is you could tell your kids, you know what? At least your life isn't like Elsa and Anna's. Both the parents could be dead. And you could be alone in a castle. Crying at the door.
Not
rejected.
Gentle parenting at all.
It's not gentle parenting.
And that's not
like
building parenting to build connection either. That's not what that's not evergreen parenting. That's like parenting from the 1950s. At least you're not them.
You could have dead parents and an ice monster. With
No
your sister who doesn't talk to you. And a fiance who's trying to steal your throne and murder you.
There's no aunts and uncles. Where are the cousins? It's literally these two girls. What
alone
happened
in the world
to the rest of the family?
Tragedies. Why? And then in the second one, when Elsa, when she's looking for like the source of her power, and she realizes that it's like from inside and that she is enough because she's like, and then she starts singing that song. What is that song? Come on. You've gotten to have seen Frozen 2 before I did.
I loved Frozen 2. I saw it in the movie.
Yeah, what's that song?
The theater. All I know is when it's like, yes, the main song.
That main song made me cry.
Because
it did. Because it's like she realizes that what she's looking for, she has, and that she's enough. And
I literally can hear it in my brain. I just can't think of the words. Like the tune. Anyway.
I know. Let It Go pops in there as soon as I try to. I get the do-do-do-do, and then it's like.
Best thing that came out of those movies is the hairstyle. 100% Elsa braid. I love that hairstyle.
Oh. I thought you were going to say Olaf because he was fantastic.
Oh, well, for sure. I mean, I'm just saying, practically, the fastest hairstyle I can do on my girls is the Elsa braid. That's faster than even a ponytail or just even a low braid is the Elsa braid. So that hairstyle is amazing. Yes, Olaf is by far one of my absolute favorite characters. For sure, he's hilarious. And now they're making a Frozen 3. Right?
Are they really?
I think they are.
You heard it here first, everyone. Frozen 3. So I think Chris and I were talking about this, and when we were kids, there was not for a lot of people we were around. We could see R-rated movies as children, and our favorite movies were like we were just watching Beverly Hills Cop. Have you seen that?
I think
I'm
so.
assuming.
I'm sure.
But you wouldn't have seen it in the 80s.
No. Oh.
No.
No. I personally,
a lot of swearing.
When
There's
I
a lot
was
of swearing.
younger, my favorite movie was 1776.
1776. Tell me you're a homeschooler without telling me you're a homeschooler.
It was a musical. I had all the songs memorized. I loved it. I watched it all the time. I'd put that VHS tape in there in the VCR.
That is incredible.
There was even songs about Abigail Adams. I don't remember. I bet if someone started playing the music, I could still sing all the words. Yeah, that was, I mean.
Those created core memories in you that you will learn from Inside Out to form belief systems and branches. You're going to learn all about. I can't wait for you to see it.
I don't know if I want to. I don't like sad things. I will.
You better.
I will, because Riley has seen it, and it's Riley, and I love all the things, and I want to be able to have that conversation about it.
It's not sad like Mufasa's sad.
Dude, you just said you cried in both times you saw it. You knew it was coming, and you cried again.
But what did we learn? We learned that joy and sadness have to work together. You need them both. Your brain breaks.
Well, you just taught me that, so I don't need to see it now.
That was from number 1. Number 2, we talk about anxiety.
Right. Sorry. Yep. Learned about anxiety. I had a dog with anxiety, like I already talked about. I know a lot about anxiety due to my dog.
You got to watch it. I'm not telling you what to do. It's my tip or trick for you. To see it. You might not cry. You might be fine with watching.
I'll see it if you'll watch 1776.
Oh, I will. Watch 1776. My first favorite movie like that. Well, I loved Annie, the 1980s Annie, but my first favorite movie that I was obsessed with and sang all the songs at like 5, 6 years old was Grease 2, starring Michelle Pfeiffer.
I think that's my cousin Vicky's favorite movie. I think she just had a birthday party that was like Grease 2. Yeah. Actually, right now, Tegan's in a theater camp because, again, it's summer. And they're doing like the whole like Grease. I mean, it's just like everyone has a little bit of a part and a line. And then they're doing this song and they're dancing to it. Yeah, super, super cute. Tomorrow's the actual show. I can't wait to see it. No, not of the whole, like a teeny tiny scene from Grease.
Not about like, not all the
it's
dirty stuff.
It's like a 5-minute play. It's at a Christian sports camp. So it's like
interesting.
There's like 12 kids that are in theater. They each have like 2 lines, and then they're all going to like dance to this song.
Aww.
But I was like, Grease, that's so cute. That's so cute.
So cute. Yeah, mine was Grease 2, which I wouldn't have let my kids watch because times have changed. But what is your criteria now for movies your kids can see at the different ages? You can talk from, Cole all the way. You have toddler to, or I would say toddler cusp child, young child to teenager.
Watch everything and anything. Rated R, not a big deal. Cussing, fine.
Rules are for nerds.
Jeez. You sneak into that R-rated movie, you guys.
Yeah,
you do
you can't just get in.
No, you do you. Yeah. No, that's not my criteria. I think a big part is scary. Like,
okay,
if it's too intense or too scary, I think that is a big deal of like, we just don't want our kids to be scared. They don't want to be scared, but even if like we're watching a movie and a part gets into intense, like you can fast forward it. So I think just having an idea of what it is. We don't go to the movies often. So usually we're watching it at home. I'm not the people, like I know there's a certain group of people who are like, no, we will not watch Disney. And like, we're not like that. Or like, oh, I will not let my child watch something with cussing. Like, I think it's just figuring out what's best for your child, what's best for your family. Obviously, Riley saw Inside Out too. I have not seen it, and I let her see a movie I haven't seen. But, she's 14. So going there too. I know a lot of people do that though. Like the parents have to see the movie first before they let their kids watch it. I wish I could be that parent. I just can't. I don't even have time to watch a movie myself.
You haven't even gotten to finish Gilmore Girls, so you've got some catching up before you can watch a movie.
I haven't seen a movie since like 2010. So yeah, I just I would think just how intense it is. What the dialogue might be. There's so many different like websites though and organizations that tell you about the movie beforehand. Yeah. So that's really helpful too, to look through that and to see and to make sure, you know, is it appropriate? Is it age appropriate? Would that be okay for my child? But yeah, we do have a huge age range. So if we're going to watch it as a family, it's going to definitely be on the G, very innocent side because Cole's 4. Did you have strict rules? I mean,
I think with this scary thing, I know Daisy was very sensitive to scary things. So I think it started there. Like and plus we were like young and we were scared ourselves. So we were like, Snow White's too scary. You can't watch Snow White, but you can watch, you know, easier things. And then as she got older, we kind of loosened the reins. But Shiloh, my youngest, we didn't stop her. Like, we weren't as strict with her, especially because our kids were older, like you said. And by the time she was like 6, 7 years old, Daisy would have been 15. And we were kind of like, well, if we're all going to a movie together, Shiloh's now going to see Indiana Jones. You know what I mean? Like, where the other kids were like, oh, they're too young for Indiana Jones. But Shiloh would get really stressed out if there was even a lot of like emotional conflict. Like if she saw people making bad choices, it would stress her out. Like say in one of these silly movies, you see a kid fully disobeying and they're going to she knows like something bad's going to happen. Even if it's supposed to be funny, like she'd be like, no. And it would just, she did not like it. So we had to be careful of in that aspect. We stayed away from anything too sexualized. Obviously, like they don't need all of that influence so young, or we didn't think they did. There was a point though, I remember we had been really careful of, you know, what our kids were watching or what they, you know, came in to their minds and hearts because we know it affects them. And I realized that one thing they were missing by being so protected was missing like real like hero movies where like there was real conflict and real people doing bad things and real people doing good things. And it could even be a kid's movie, but it was just more intense, you know, like say like an Indiana Jones. And so I had this like heart change around then where I'm like, okay, guys, we're going to start really introducing purposefully like movies that really showcase people being really brave in the face of serious danger, you know, and we're going to see like the miracles that happen when you do the right thing and do good things. And and we kind of introduce more sadness and introduce more hard topics, but that definitely wasn't until they were probably junior high, older elementary. It's so hard because there was that range, but yeah. And then they hit a certain age. I want to say like 16, 17. And then they just start watching whatever at about maybe 16, 17. And you just kind of hope that you did a good job and that their hearts are ready to take in what they're taking in. Because the reality is, especially if they're in a public school setting, everybody will have seen certain shows. And I remember for a long time, Shiloh would be like, hey, Mom, everybody's talking about this one show. And I'm like, well, I don't want you to be like, oh, I can't talk about that with you. But I'm like, this is what that show is. And that's what we don't watch it because it's usually hypersexualized and it's just not appropriate. Or you can watch it and just fast forward, you know, those scenes. So that was helpful. And so there was things that she would be like, what do you think about me watching that? And I would say, I don't think it's a good idea. And she'd usually she would respect that. But, you know, by the time they're They're like juniors, seniors in high school. They're watching like what other people are watching for the most part. And you just got to kind of encourage them and love on them through it. You know, you're not always going to like what they watch, but as they get older, but also like if they're watching it with more wisdom that maybe I had as a kid growing up, they're watching it with more like guidance on how to deal with these things in their hearts. Like those are all tools that they've been given that I think will help them process what they're seeing and to make those decisions, because what it all comes down to is you have them for a certain amount of time, and just making a ton of rules without that guidance, or like how you were saying, like talking through things with them and explaining things. Once they hit that age where they're out of your like zone of protection, they're gonna either sink or swim, or they might sink for a while and come back. But you know, like they're gonna make all their own decisions. Unless you're really parenting, like over parenting them in their 20s.
And now, everyone, Andie just gave us anxiety.
What was it? You're welcome. First of all, did I just make you anxious?
16, 17, they're going to watch whatever. You can't really parent them, sink or swim. They're drowning. Good luck. Good luck, guys. Godspeed. No, there's wisdom in everything you're saying. It's just, Cole's 4. And all of a sudden I'm like, what? I can't monitor him.
He's watching dirty movies at 16. No.
Well, it's funny you're saying that, and we will have to go. But I remember when Riley was in kindergarten, she came home one day. She's like, what's Star Wars? And she wanted to watch Star Wars because everyone kept talking about it. And so we let her watch like the first one, which I guess is number 3. Like the first old one, Yeah. And we just fast forwarded some of the scary parts, or we'd say, okay, you tell us sometimes, like if it's getting too scary, like we'll try to fast forward it when we think it's scary, but if you think it's scary, go ahead. And she just kind of needed to know a little bit of the storyline and Princess Leia, and she just kind of needed to know a little bit of it, and then she was totally fine with it. And then we'd ask her, like, do you want to watch the next one and the next one? And she was kind of like, yeah, I'm good. But then, like, my other kids haven't really asked to see Star Wars, so I don't even know if they have. I mean, part of it, when you're so busy and everybody's going different directions and you're just going, like, they would rather, I think, watch, like, some of their, like, they'd rather watch Dude Perfect, which is on YouTube,
yeah,
than watch a movie. But they do love family movie time. Like, I think it's more of the, like, everyone has popcorn, everyone's together, everyone's here. And they do get annoyed when I pause it and I make a life lesson out of it. They do.
But you've earned that right.
Like, wait, let's talk about this. And
yes.
I mean, they will. God bless my kids. They will pause it. But I'm like, pause it. We need to talk. Sometimes Brooklyn will be like, you done now? I'm like, yes, okay. So, but it's good sometimes because, like you're saying, awesome insight out too. Look at all these amazing conversations you can have. And you might not even be thinking you needed to talk to your child about certain issues, and then it comes up in a movie and you're like, oh, this is a good like conversation starter. So that totally helps too. But we do have to go, so share us,
watch us on the big screen with some popcorn.
Go see Inside Out 2 if you want to learn about anxiety.
And if we're not sponsored by them, but if they'd like to sponsor us, we're open. We're willing to take offers.
And if you want to know what it was like to be homeschooled, you watch 1776.
All right.
Find it on a VHS near you.
The fairy Betsy Ross will sprinkle confetti and flags.
Yes.
On your front lawn. All right. Bye, everyone. All right, that's all we have time for today. We got to wrap it up, unfortunately. But just remember, you might think you're doing just okay, but we think you're doing really great.
Thanks for hanging out with us today. We hope you have a great Mother Funny day. Please like and share our podcast.
But please don't tell our moms.